It's Friday, June 27th. From Capitol Hill to global headlines, here's what you need to know today. The Congressional Budget Office has issued a warning. President Donald Trump's sweeping tax overhaul is projected to increase federal deficits by $2.8 trillion over the next decade. The analysis factors in economic ripple effects like rising interest rates and mounting debt costs. The bill, which recently passed the House, is undergoing revisions in the Senate. Vice President J.D. Vance is urging Republicans to finish the job. Backers of the legislation, including Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, claim it will fuel economic growth and provide long-term stability. The Senate's version introduces a $6,000 tax deduction for lower-income seniors and tougher Medicaid work requirements. Mehmet Oz, who heads the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, defended the changes, expressing confidence in Americans' ability to navigate them. But critics are sounding the alarm. Senator Jeff Merkley dismissed the plan as laughable, pointing to CBO estimates showing millions losing health coverage, increased tax burdens on lower-income households, and yearly windfalls of $12,000 for the wealthiest Americans. At the Supreme Court, a 6-3 decision has handed states the authority to block Medicaid funds from going to Planned Parenthood. The ruling stems from a South Carolina case in which a patient challenged the state's decision to exclude the provider. The court determined that Medicaid recipients don't have a legal right to sue over provider restrictions, leaving such matters to state and administrative systems. Supporters praised the decision as a victory for state sovereignty and taxpayer conscience. Justice Neil Gorsuch wrote that these enforcement decisions are better left to elected lawmakers than federal judges. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster echoed those sentiments, saying public funds shouldn't support providers that conflict with citizens' values. Planned Parenthood and other critics, however, warn the ruling jeopardizes essential care for low-income patients. Dr. Catherine Ferris noted that Medicaid recipients depend on their clinics for contraception, screenings, and more services often unrelated to abortion. In dissent, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson called the decision a blow to patient freedom, stripping Americans of their ability to choose who treats them during life's most vulnerable moments. In the Senate, Republican Mike Lee is scaling back his controversial plan to sell millions of acres of public land. The original proposal part of the broader tax and spending bill was blocked by Senate parliamentarians who ruled it unrelated to budget legislation. In response, Lee is narrowing the focus to Bureau of Land Management parcels near population centers, removing Forest Service lands entirely. Lee promised to significantly reduce the land included, introduce what he's calling freedom zones, and safeguard the interests of farmers, ranchers, and recreation enthusiasts. His revised version largely excludes Washington and Oregon, and trims California's participation. The proposal has drawn criticism from conservationists and some Western Republicans, though supporters argue it's a practical response to housing demand and urban growth. Overseas, tensions between the United States and China are escalating again. Beijing has formally responded to the CIA's recent video campaign targeting Chinese officials for recruitment. The Ministry of State Security called the effort a naked political provocation, accusing the CIA of amateurism, sabotage, and a gross violation of diplomatic norms. The CIA videos, circulated 2 months ago, depicted disillusioned Chinese officials turning to the U.S. agency out of frustration with Communist Party corruption. They included messaging on how to securely reach American handlers via the dark web. China's ministry blasted the campaign as embarrassing and counterproductive, warning that any nationals caught engaging with it will inevitably be exposed. The memo follows a long history of espionage tension, including China's dismantling of a CIA spy network over a decade ago and the 2024 execution of an aerospace engineer convicted of leaking military secrets to the U.S. Back home, Nestlé is promising a cleaner ingredient list. The company announced it will eliminate all artificial dyes from its U.S. food and beverage lineup by mid-2026. This pledge impacts household names like Nesquik, DiGiorno, Toll House, Gerber, and Lean Cuisine, as well as pet brands under the Purina label. Though Nestlé previously made a similar pledge in 2015, this time it says 90% of its products are already dye-free, with full compliance on the way. The move follows consumer pressure and similar steps from competitors like Kraft Heinz and General Mills. Polls show nearly 2/3 of Americans want synthetic additives removed from processed foods. Meanwhile, the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, recently overhauled by Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., has voted to recommend Merck's new RSV antibody shot for infants as part of the Vaccines for Children program. This newly installed 7-member committee includes several vaccine skeptics, drawing scrutiny and pushback from scientific institutions. Critics are especially concerned about the reintroduction of thimerosal, a preservative long falsely linked to autism, into vaccine discussions. Still, data presented during the meeting showed clesrovimab and similar treatments sharply reduced RSV hospitalizations. Committee Chair Dr. Martin Kulldorff emphasized the importance of revisiting vaccine schedules, while member Dr. Cody Meissner praised the results as spectacular. Yet major medical organizations, including the American Academy of Pediatrics, have distanced themselves from the panel, citing concerns over scientific integrity and potential declines in public trust. In San Antonio, justice may soon be delivered in one of the deadliest migrant smuggling cases in U.S. history. 2 men convicted in the 2022 tragedy that killed 53 people inside a sweltering tractor-trailer will be sentenced Friday. Prosecutors said the smugglers ran a high-priced operation that knowingly placed lives at risk. Victims, many from Mexico and Central America, were found clawing at the trailer's walls in a desperate attempt to escape the heat. The defendants face life in prison, with more sentencing hearings ahead for others involved. Authorities say the smuggling ring operated for years, charging as much as $15,000 per migrant. And finally, it's a tough summer for new college graduates. The class of 2025 is walking into the most difficult job market in over a decade. The unemployment rate for grads aged 22 to 27 hit 5.8% in March, and hiring has slowed across major sectors. Analysts point to economic uncertainty, Federal Reserve rate hikes, and a growing reliance on artificial intelligence as reasons for the downturn. Entry-level roles in tech and finance have been particularly affected. JP Morgan reports that nearly half of all U.S. workers now have college degrees, but that credential alone no longer guarantees job security. Experts recommend gaining hands-on experience and exploring new career paths as companies become more cautious about hiring fresh talent. That's all for tonight's news update. Thank you for joining us. We'll continue to monitor these stories and bring you the latest developments. Stay safe, stay informed, and have a good night. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update.